So excited to welcome you all to our Summer Scoop series. This is the first one we're hosting this year. I am reporting live from Cortex HQ. You can see the nice neon background. Quick intro on myself. My name is Anish. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Cortex. We're so excited to have all of you participate in our first Summer Scoop series. It's really exciting for us. Actually, we'll give just a minute to get everyone to come in. Okay, awesome. Well, welcome again to our first Summer Scoop series. Really appreciate all of you taking the time to join us today. Everyone here at Cortex is super excited about today's event because we get to share all the amazing products that we've been working on with all of you. The number one question that we get from both our own customers and people we speak into the market is, what are we working on? Like, what does the future of IDPs actually look like? And we're hoping today's event can give you a sneak preview into all the incredible advancements that we're making in the IDP market itself. Background on myself, my name is Anish. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Cortex. I'm just going to be giving a very, very quick intro to engineering excellence, which really embodies all of the work that we're doing here at Cortex. And if we go to the next slide, you might be sitting here thinking, well, what's in it for me today, right? How do I know if the work that Cortex is highlighting actually impacts my role? Well, lucky for you, the way that we think about product development itself at Cortex revolves around all the different types of users who are in our product every day. And today's presentation is no different, right? It doesn't matter if you're an executive who's thinking about how to improve the productivity or velocity of your team. It doesn't matter if you're an SRE or platform engineer thinking about how to improve reliability or maintaining great developer self-serve experiences, or even just as a developer, how do I actually know what I should prioritize and where my work is? You're going to be seeing each of these themes represented in all of the really cool work that we're presenting. And I'm really excited for all of you to give us feedback at the end as well, especially if it impacts your role specifically. And if we go to the next slide. So you've been hearing me bring up engineering excellence a bunch of times. And like I said, it kind of embodies all of the work and how we think about our work itself, and really how we think about IDPs and the impact that they have to different organizations. Because at the end of the day, the reality is all of you have likely owned different type of initiatives around engineering excellence, right? It could be a production readiness checklist that you're trying to enforce across the organization. It could be a productivity initiative. You're trying to track DORA metrics or a security migration. All of these really tie back to engineering excellence. And the critical thing here, and the way we think about our work here at Cortex, is how does it actually tie back to something the business cares about, right? Because while you're trying to enforce that production readiness checklist, the end goal is really trying to improve quality to make sure your customers have a really good experience. And that will probably, increase revenue at the end of the day. And at the foundation of all of that is what we call the 4 C's, right? It starts with clear ownership. You need complete visibility into your architecture. You want to have a culture of continuous improvement, and of course, a consistent developer experience. And so a lot of the work that we're showing today, we're not going to just be talking about what it can do and like all the impact it can have. We always like to tie it back to how does this actually impact your business, which I think is at the center of everything we do, and is why we talk about engineering excellence. So with that said, we go to the next slide. Super excited to show you the first exciting advancement. I'll pass it over to Jonathan to talk about ownership.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jonathan Nolan. I'm the VP of Engineering here at Cortex. I've been on board since December, and I could not be more excited to be here today to share what the team has been working on. I got to join this absolutely amazing team of engineers, and they have been hard at work, and we have a lot of really exciting stuff to show you. And I'm going to talk a little bit about ownership. So every engineering leader wants a culture of ownership. A culture of ownership means that people own their outcomes, that they own the success of their customers, that they can see the big picture, that they can understand the whys of the business. And if they can see all those things, then they can make better trade-offs in the moment. They can make better trade-offs about technology, about priority, about everything that they might be working on. And if we do that, then ultimately the whole system gets better. And there is an endless amount of content about how to build that culture. The conversation, though, generally focuses on the attitudes and the behaviors and of trying to build that culture, and really often doesn't go very deep on the practical backbone. So, as leaders, we can talk all day long to our teams about taking ownership over their outcomes and taking ownership over their responsibilities. And, you know, that's good as far as it goes. But how do you make it real? How do you make it concrete? How do you do it at scale? Because it turns out that the absence of clear ownership is like a disconnected steering wheel. You can crank as hard as you want. You can write playbooks. You can buy tools. You can talk to people. You can give speeches. You can implement programs. You can set SLOs. But sometimes things don't change because people don't feel accountable for those outcomes in the way that we want them to. And as a leader, poor steering can lead to burnout and stagnation. I read an article a while back that one of the best sort of predictors of burnout at work was trying to make changes over a long period of time, then not seeing those changes take effect. The disconnect between the effort you're putting in, the steering you're trying to do, and what the organization is actually doing. So this is a thing that we need to address both for ourselves and for our teams. Because without ownership accountability, you can't steer, you can't drive change, you can't respond effectively to challenges. So I don't know about you, but I have often felt like this when I've been trying to steer the teams that I've worked with. And as my goals, as my projects, as my teams, as my timelines get bigger and more complex and more impactful, my toolkit got worse, not better. So I used to have a plethora of development tools that could tell me exactly what was going on inside my team, what was going on a day-by-day basis in the code base, what was going on in a minute-by-minute basis on the service that I was running. But as I began to run not one team and not one project and not one services, but many, your toolkit sort of devolves to spreadsheets and meetings. And there is a better way to do it than spreadsheets and meetings. So what does that better way look like? First of all, you need one system of record to rule them all, a single source of truth for everything inside your engineering organization. Because if you don't know who owns a service or an outcome, if you don't know who owns the technology, the teams, the processes that you're trying to change, then you cannot affect the change that you want. So you need to use some sort of centralized catalog that integrates code, infrastructure, and teams. Crucially, you're looking at both technology and teams because they are deeply interrelated. And you cannot judge the performance of a team without understanding the technology world that they are living in. And you cannot make good plans about the technology if you do not understand the people and the process that's going into that technology. But you don't need to stop there. There are tons of other assets inside our worlds that matter, that we can catalog and we can ensure ownership. Dashboards, alerts, pipelines, tests, processes, everything that you can think about that you might be trying to use to drive change inside your organization can live in this catalog. But change doesn't go just one way. As much as we are trying to drive change, we're also constantly responding to change. And so you need a tool that can do that. Because engineering organizations are incredibly dynamic systems. Our teams, our tools, our technology, they are constantly changing. Think about your org right now. You're probably onboarding and offboarding engineers this week. You are probably in the process of adopting and rolling out a new tool. You're probably also in the process of deprecating some old dependency. And you've probably got a reorg coming sometime in the next 12 months, whether you know about it or not. And you're going to have to respond to that change. And this has been one of the challenges of catalogs in the past, because they took so much human-powered work to get right that by the time they were fully cataloged and rolled out to your team, everything is different. You might have gone through one of those reorgs, and the team that owned services a month ago is no longer the same team. We've definitely seen this in the field when people have come to talk to Cortex to ask for help, where they have realized that the ROI balance of manual cataloging and the investment or the return they're trying to get back is not mapping out. So Cortex is here to help. Because we know that the only thing worse than no centralized catalog is one that's out of date or wrong, because then people are not to trust it. So to solve the ownership trap, you have to use tools that can embrace change, that are flexible, and it can model your world today and tomorrow, but also that can respond to those changes automatically. So that's why you need a system that you can put on autopilot. You need tools that automatically infer and update ownership as your organization evolves. A tool that can flag ambiguities and changes, and that you can rely on your team for validation and staying up to date. You want to not put humans in the seat of having to catalog every single thing in your organization. You want your team to review changes, to resolve conflicts, and to deal with outliers. It means you, as an engineering leader, really only need to worry about the anomalies, things that are unowned, things that are have conflicted ownership, things that have too many owners. So if you can focus on resolving those things, then you can end up with a system that you can trust and you can use to drive accountability and change. So I'm going to show you how that can work in Cortex. We've made our first sort of big investment in this area, and there are many more to come. But give me a second and I will share my screen. Okay, obligatory. Can you see my screen? Yes. All right, great. Okay, we are looking here at our production Cortex Centis. And this is one of the services that we've been working on. You may or may not know about this, but there's a new feature we have called Axon that is a bridge between your behind the firewall resources and our Cortex Cloud. If you're interested in that, you should hit us up later. But right now, there's no owner assigned. This is a relatively new project. It got cataloged pretty recently. And you can see that no owner, but we have this new widget here that says we have 3 recommendations. So we were able to look at the repository associated with the service, look at who has been working on that repository, and then make a suggestion about which team we think is the one most likely to own this new service. And it turns out that our first guess here, product platform, is actually the correct one. So I will check this box here and I'll add an owner. And we're going to refresh and update. And now we have an owned service. So we have done a bunch of testing and sort of done dry runs on sample data. And we've found that we've had an incredibly high hit rate when sort of comparing what we predict to be the owner and what a manually assigned owner was. And so we have high confidence that like one of those 3 suggestions is, and often the first one is going to be the correct owner for a given service. So this is great and all, but you might say, I have hundreds or thousands of services, not just one. I don't want to do this 100,000 times. Great, we have a solution for that as well. So this is our new ownership report. We pull every service that has associated code that does not have an owner assigned. And you can see that we've made a recommendation for each of these services. You can obviously click through here and you can change to a different team owner if you would like. You can also filter if you want to narrow this list down. You can accept this owner individually, just like we did on the other page, or you can accept in bulk, and you can get everyone or every service on this page can end up then with a recommended owner from Cortex. I'm not going to do that now because, as I mentioned, this is our live instance. And then the last stage of the process is you can actually put it out for validation. So we have a validation feature that you can ask the owner of the given service to go back in and affirm this says, yes, I agree that I own the service. I agree that this data is correct, and I can validate it. So we have this UC verification here. There's a verification task waiting. Data is correct. Submit. It goes green, and it says that I validated it on this date. And so with this functionality, you can distribute this ownership problem, both rely on the initial suggestions from Cortex and then distribute the validation to everyone on your team. So it's not one person, it's not just you, it's not just the platform team, it's not just the SREs, but everybody has to validate that their data is correct and that they are sort of affirmatively assuming ownership for this thing. And that is an important psychological feature here. This is not a code feature, but it's a psychological feature. If you go in and say, yes, this is correct and I own it, then you are developing that culture of ownership inside your team. All right, I will go back to the slides at this point and wrap things up. So what I just showed you is how Cortex can solve the ownership trap at scale. It gives you a single source of truth that is flexible for today and tomorrow and is able to respond to those changes automatically. I didn't show you this in the demo, but that recommendation process is running all the time, multiple times a day. And so when we notice drift, when we notice that the team that we would recommend is no longer the team that is assigned as ownership, we can also recommend that you update that change as things evolve over time. Without clear ownership, incidents take longer to resolve, migrations stall, enforcing standards becomes nearly impossible. You have a broken steering wheel. But if you get this right, the payoff is huge. Let's look at what becomes possible. I know that every single leader in this room is trying to improve your engineering team on some dimension. You might be trying to improve reliability, and you want in emergencies to get the right people on the problem as quickly as possible. You might be trying to drive cost effectiveness. So ballooning costs go from everyone's problem to someone specific's problem. You might be trying to improve security compliance. There are vulnerabilities that linger in ancient orphan code and zombie services. You can eliminate those orphans, close the gaps by making sure that everything that's running in your system is owned. And you can drive modernization efforts. Same with platform consistency. Who is responsible for completing that checklist and doing the last unexciting 80% of an upgrade or a migration? With visibility and ownership, you can drive action. And that is why we believe that ownership is the foundation on which you can build engineering excellence for your team. And now I'm really excited to show you how Cortex can help with insights on engineering excellence. And let me introduce Madison to share that with you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Hi, everyone. I'm Madison Unell. I'm the lead product manager here at Cortex. I'm super excited to talk about engineering intelligence. For those of you who might have seen our engineering intelligence product just a few months ago, we've launched so many new cool features. And so I'm excited to show that. So next slide, and we'll dive into a little bit of our philosophy. So really at Cortex, we believe that engineering metrics are only as valuable as the actions that they can drive. So what we see is that way too often teams are collecting all of this data. They're actually like drowning in this data, but they really struggle to translate that into meaningful improvements. And that's really where our approach comes in, which is to go from data to an insight to an action. And we really see this as the key to unlocking real engineering intelligence. And so as we start to build out this product, and are releasing it, like this is really how we're thinking about driving this flywheel. So it starts with our data ingestion. Cortex integrates with all of your engineering ecosystem, your CI/CD tools, your issue trackers, your version control systems, incident tools, and obviously way more. And we're able to bring all this data into one place, which helps create this unified view of engineering activity across the org. And this is something that obviously we do for our IDP anyway. And so it makes sense that engineering intelligence lives in the IDP, which we'll talk about in a second. But we have all your data. From there, oh, sorry, we can go back to my flywheel slide. Sorry. Thank you. So from there, we apply the engineering intelligence to all of this data so that we can actually extract some insights. This is a lot more than just dashboards or even like static reports. It's really about how do we give teams the ability to ask a lot of deeper questions based on all of this data. So like, what are the bottlenecks across our SDLC? A common one that's been coming up recently is, are our investments in developer tooling, like our AI tools, paying off? How do different teams compare in terms of quality or responsiveness? Or which services have the most tech debt? And so being able to answer these questions and ask these questions and get these answers from all this data is something that we're powering through engineering intelligence. And then once we've actually identified those improvements, we can help you operationalize them through scorecards and initiatives, which are kind of built into our IDP. And this is really the action layer of that flywheel. And again, the data alone is not good enough. The insights alone is not good enough, but insights driving this action is really where we want to focus. And so, yeah, now that is why, engineering intelligence belongs in the IDP. I mentioned all of the data is already there. We already integrate with all of your systems. But more importantly, the IDP is where your service and your catalog data already live. And this helps you answer service level and systems level questions, which is really critical to having the full insight into your engineering organization. This is something that a lot of traditional Engine-Tel tools do not have. They're focused mostly on teams and on people, which this is a very good lens and a very good view. And it's something that, we also support, but looking at this from a systems level. So trying to understand which products have more bugs or which services have more outages, right? To help you figure out what tech debt to prioritize. This is really important, especially for the folks that aren't on those teams. Like if you're responsible for build times, right? Like looking across your entire ecosystem at these different pieces is really, really important. And again, we have all that data. The IDP is your service catalog. And so that's why we believe that it lives in engineering intelligence. Cool. So to talk a little bit about what we have launched recently, we have started by building out a set of out-of-the-box dashboards to answer the questions that we know engineering leaders care the most about. We're also building a ton of metrics out of the box so that you don't have to actually worry about setting anything up. All you have to do is, plug in your systems, integrate your data, and then you get these insights. So you get these out of the box dashboards. We pre-calculate metrics for you. So everything will be there. But at the same time, we know that customization is super important. There's always going to be specific metrics or dashboards or views that are super key, to your organization or even to specific teams within your organization. And so we want to support that. So our approach is to build both. And I will also mention that like benchmarking at scale is something that's really important to us. Seeing that your cycle time is X is not really helpful unless you can start to compare it to other people in your organization or even to other companies. And so having these out-of-the-box metrics that are well-defined that we can use to start benchmarking data and surfacing those insights to folks is something that's really important to us. And with that, I'm going to demo what we have. Okay, so this is our new velocity dashboard, which is currently in beta. We've gotten a ton of great feedback from customers so far. This is our first of the out-of-the-box dashboards that we're building, which immediately highlights some of the things that we know engineering leaders care most about, starting with cycle time. So cycle time is one of the most common metrics. And if you ever have a question about how we define our metrics, we have built-in hovers on every single metric that explains exactly how we calculate it and what our definition is. So for us, cycle time is the first commit on a PR to when the PR is merged to a main branch. What we've done here is we wanted to visualize all the different pieces within cycle time. So breaking down the coding time, which is time to open, waiting time, which is how long does it take for your first review, then kind of the review time, like how long does it take to actually get that approval, and then time to merge is how quickly once we get that approval can we actually get it out. So this visualization shows that our time to first review clearly is the thing that has the most room for improvement. And so if I'm an engineering leader and I'm looking at this for my teams, I'm thinking, okay, my cycle time is about 2 days. If I wanted to decrease that, can I get this number down? Can I get our time to first review to be less than 1 day? And so this immediately points out a place that I might want to dig in deeper. And again, this is one of the very first questions folks ask is like, where in our process can I discover this? And so here's a great visualization for that. One thing that I do want to show is that every single metric is linked to our other features in Metrics Explorer, where you can kind of explore on your own. So if I wanted to know what are actually the PRs that make up this metric, I can click into it and I can see exactly over time for time to first review, what is the average for that. I can see, the graph representation, and I can also see it grouped by team, author, and repository. So for example, if I wanted to see which repository or which service has the longest time to first review, I can do that super easily from this. Going back to the dashboard, I just want to highlight our other two graph representations that we have here. And again, it's a lot more coming, but this is kind of our first take. One of the most common things that we've seen about why cycle time is what it is PR size. So we see in our data, we've done a lot of analysis on this, is that when PRs are large, they take longer to open. When PRs are large, they take longer to get the first review. And in this case, what we're showing is the time to first review over PR size to see if there's a correlation. And what we can see is that there is a correlation. The larger the PR, the longer it takes to get time to first review. And so this is, I think, a really interesting graphical representation of just a lot of the stuff that we've seen kind of in our own data. The last graph I want to point out is around this concept of PR success rate. So PR success rate is the percentage of PRs that are merged, which is different than the percentage of PRs that are opened and then closed. So in this example, I'm looking at the past 7 days. We have 16 PRs that were closed. So that represents 25% of the total PRs that were closed or merged in this time period. Again, closing PRs in and of itself is not a big deal, but it's something to keep in mind, because if you think about it, if every PR is taking about 2 days to actually get through the process, and 16 of those PRs were closed, again representing 25%, that's all work that never actually made it into production. Again, there's a lot of reasons for that, but it's something to dig into. And so again, one thing that we have seen recently is, what are those closed PRs, right? Was there a reason for it? Is it that the requirements weren't correct? And so it got through the process, and then when it came time to review it, we said, actually, this is totally wrong, close. That's an example of potentially work that could have been caught up front. And so we can actually start to dig into all of those closed PRs. So I can view all of the data for all my closed PRs. Every single PR links directly to my Git source. So I can start to dive in and even run retros with my teams, for example, to kind of go over some of these metrics that are really important to me. So that's the velocity dashboard. And then I will also just highlight for the metrics explorer, this is where you can really start to select and kind of slice and dice your own data. So right now we support version control metrics. So these are coming from all the Git systems, but coming very soon, like next week, we have deployment data, we have incident data, and then a little farther out, we have some Jira metrics. We'll also support custom metrics here. And we also see the power of this being the fact that you can overlay metrics with each other. So you could overlay a Jira metric with an incident metric, for example, to understand correlation there. One of the things I do want to highlight is that we do have the ability to aggregate these metrics in different ways. So for something like cycle time, an average makes sense, but it could be very different than the median. So we have the ability to look at the average, the max, the min, the median, the P95, or the sum. In this example, I'll just pick the average, and I can see the average over time, again, for the last 7 days. We have full, date picker range, and so I'm going to actually select month because I'm curious what this month looks like. And then I can actually group it by week. So I might want to see my changes every single week, and then I can see what are those changes, and I can see any spikes in the data and kind of dig in that way. We know a lot of engineering leaders report on this, monthly deployments, for example. And so this is a really great way to visualize that. And again, if I find something I want to dig into, I can go back to this group by and identify team, author, repository that I might want to dig in a little further. So yeah, this is our Metrics Explorer and our Velocity Dashboard. Again, it's in beta. Super excited to get this out to folks. And yeah, want to just finish by saying, and I kind of mentioned this, like we are just getting started. Like we built all of this in the past couple of months. There is so much more to go, and like we are actively partnering with our customers to figure out, what makes sense to go in here. And so we have a bunch of design partners. Again, we're building more, out of the box dashboards around, more like project management metrics, DORA metrics, things like that. So we would love to have you on board, learn from you, and continue to iterate together. And with that, I will hand it over to Ganesh to talk about another feature that I love, our homepage.
Super excited for this. Hey everyone, my name is Ganesh. I'm one of the co-founders and CTO of Cortex. Today I'm going to be talking about the engineering homepage. For a lot of you know, Cortex was the first in the market to launch our developer homepage. So a landing page for developers that helps you understand your daily work, right? Your PRs, your reviews, your Jira tickets, all the things that are outstanding in terms of org-wide initiatives, your on-call. But as IDP market has matured, we have realized that it's not just developers that use IDPs, right? Engineering leaders are in there. Your SRE teams are using it. Your platform teams, your security teams. How do we build an experience that is great for everyone? How do we show people the things that really matter? And so really excited to talk about this today and how we're solving some of this. So one of the things that's really important in IDP, like Jonathan was mentioning earlier, today engineering organizations are operating in the land of complexity, right? We have tons of tools and tons of services. An individual team may be accountable for upwards of 10 services, and multiply that by the number of pieces of infrastructure that are under the hood, times the number of tools that each of those services use. You're talking about hundreds of data points in order for me to understand the context of my organization. Along with that, I have my daily work. I have multiple PRs open. I'm working with the team. I have reviews that are assigned to me. I have my sprint work that's assigned. There's ongoing initiatives like package upgrades and migrations and things like that. And all that information is really difficult to find without an IDP. Within an IDP, how do we surface the information at the right time based on who you are? We want to make this information discoverable. So regardless of where you are in Cortex in your IDP, it's easy to find the things that matter to you most. How do we help you understand the prioritization of things that matter? You have tons of things on your plate. What is the most important thing you should be doing right now? And is that information actionable? Are we just surfacing information for the sake of it? Or is it clear to understand what exactly I should be focused on today? Is it important for me to fix the log4j issue that's come up on the security side, or should I be focusing on the PRs that matter? We want to solve that problem through the IDP. So we are announcing our brand new engineering homepage. So this is not just for developers anymore, but it's focused on the entire engineering organization. And it surfaces the information that matters to you most at the time that matters most. So if you are a developer and you have multiple scorecards, think production readiness or ongoing migrations, we'll surface all the services that you are accountable for and their current state on those scorecards. If you're an engineering leader like Jonathan and you are accountable for multiple teams, your homepage will surface the scores for your services across all the teams that you're responsible for. Regardless of where you are in the organization, the things that matter to you, we will surface the things that are most relevant. We deep link into the reports. So if you want to jump directly into the reports for your scorecards and initiatives, we make that really easy to find as well. But aside from that, even things like what's currently outstanding. So if I'm a developer, I want to understand what PRs are open and the reviews that I have. Are there any reviews that have been sitting around for a while that I should jump on next? We'll surface those for you. We'll tell you when you're on call next. We now are surfacing things like quick links to your catalogs as well as workflows, and I'll show you what this looks like live. But most importantly, we are trying to make this actionable and discoverable for everyone, not just for developers. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So this is what the new homepage looks like. You'll see quite a bunch of new information directly on the screen. So for me as the CTO at Cortex, I care about the information across the entire organization, right? There's multiple teams that roll up, and I want to know for our scorecards around production readiness, around DORA metrics, around service maturity, not just I don't own any services, but I'm responsible for the entire organization. So how do I come into Cortex and see all the things that matter to me across the entire engineering team? And so you'll see here the scorecard section now breaks down all the services that I'm accountable for directly or indirectly. And there's a toggle here that says, include all the child teams. So depending on where I am in the organization, all the information that matters to me can be rolled up on the screen. So the scorecards that I see here, the scorecard leaderboards, the initiatives that are currently outstanding, this applies regardless of whether I'm an IC in the services that I own directly or the information that matters to me as an engineering leader anywhere in the org chart. The other cool things that I'm really excited about here are more information about your on-call. So one of the things that I remember as a developer was always really difficult to figure out, when am I going on call next? What am I currently accountable for? What is the on-call that I am on right now? Am I on the escalation path? When does my on-call rotation end? And let's just say some of the on-call tools will make it very easy for me to find that information. And so with Cortex and the new engineering homepage, regardless of who I am, I can come to Cortex and figure out exactly when I'm on call, if I'm currently on call, when I'm on call next. And this applies for ICs, for engineering leaders who may be multiple levels up in the escalation policy. Understanding when you're accountable and when your pager might go off is really, really helpful for me to understand the context of my organization. There's a section here that summarizes my outstanding work. You can see here that there's 4 new reviews that I need to go and review. There's 5 that have been updated recently, so that those require additional review from me. There's 2 Jira tickets that are coming up due soon as well. PRs that I've opened. And so you can see we're summarizing all the information that matters to you as a developer and surfacing that directly on your homepage. So you don't have to jump between your Jira sprint board, your PRs, your review board. All those things are in a single place today. And finally, if you are using Cortex as a home for self-service experiences, so things like deploy workflows or rollbacks, creating new services, provisioning infrastructure, you may be doing these things on a frequent basis. And so directly on your homepage, we are surfacing the workflows that you've run recently, so that way you can very quickly jump to the things that you may want to run time and time again. At Cortex, we use workflows in Cortex for self-service for deploying Cortex. And so that's kind of how we drink our own champagne. And so as a developer, I can come in here and very quickly see all the things that I've deployed recently and jump directly to those workflows, making it really easy for me to find the things that matter most for me. All right. Well, I just talked about workflows. Let's dive into that in a bit more detail. So for those of you who don't know, workflows are a way to build self-service experiences inside of Cortex. Cortex has been pushing the boundaries of what's possible with self-service and the IDPs for a while. And if you're familiar with IDPs, you may think that workflows or developer self-service in an IDP is just for scaffolding or bootstrapping new services. But in Cortex, developer self-service is actually much more than that. So if you're a platform engineering organization, if you're a security team or an SRE team, and you're trying to build self-service experiences, it can be everything from bootstrapping a new service to provisioning new infrastructure to deploying a service, rolling it back, scaling up a service and the number of instances that are running, promoting versions from one environment to another, building incident management workflows, building self-service tools for just-in-time credentials or production database clones. All these things can be built as self-service experiences in Cortex. What's really important is, as a platform engineering team, you may have built a a very complex set of capabilities for your platform, right? Best of breed capabilities across CI, across infrastructure as code, across security. The challenge for platform engineering teams is, how do you deliver those experiences to your end users in a very consumable way? And how do you do that by stitching together different parts of your platform and maintaining those experiences in a way that me as a developer, I don't have to think about the complexity of the platform under the hood. I want to click a button, I want to get a service ready for me within minutes. I don't want to think about all the nitty gritty of the Terraform, infrastructure as code platform that we've built. I want to click a button, get a new S3 bucket that's pre-configured with all the security things that matter. Cortex's workflows allow you to do that, and we've built a lot of really exciting new capabilities that make it even easier to build those workflows inside of Cortex. One of the things that I'm most excited about is the built-in integration blocks that we have today. One of the things that we know is, as you're building self-service experiences, you're probably stitching together things across multiple tools, right? You are stitching new things in GitHub. Maybe you're opening a PR against a repo with the Terraform module. Maybe you're creating a new repository and updating its permissions. Maybe you're triggering an incident or registering a new service in PagerDuty. Maybe if you have an IT organization, you're updating CMDB records. All these things, as part of a self-service experience, you're coordinating across different tools depending on the inputs you're getting from your users. How do you do that? With Cortex, we now have over 200 built-in integration blocks. So as you connect an integration into Cortex, you can just click and bring in integration steps directly into your workflow, so you don't have to manually hand configure these integration steps yourself. So if you want to make an API call and trigger a GitHub action or workflow, you want to run a Jenkins pipeline, followed by registering a new service in PagerDuty, cool. Click a couple of buttons and you're good to go. The next thing that we've released that is really, really exciting and is really pushing the boundaries of what's possible with self-service and IDPs today is support for JavaScript blocks. Rather than you having to go out and build a whole bunch of tooling and CI pipelines and things like that to execute complex logic, you can actually build that directly into workflows today. So let's say you want to run some complex logic. You are asking the user for some interesting questions, right? Hey, is your service running multi-region? Is it a customer-facing service? Is it a tier 1 service? And maybe you don't want the user to know all the information directly. You don't want to ask the user for all this information. Maybe you ask the user for, hey, is this a user-facing service? Is it external-facing? And based on that, you want to compute some information like, well, if it's a user-facing service and it's running in this cluster, well, we know it's multi-region, and you want to generate some information about that. Or you want it to do things in a loop because you're collecting multiple pieces of information from a user. You can do that directly inline in a workflow today with sandbox secure JavaScript steps directly within a workflow. And I'll show you what this looks like in just a minute. The other thing that's really exciting here is you can actually define now workflows as code. So as you're building these self-serve experiences, you want to manage these directly in Git. You want them to be version controlled. You want to control that experience directly from Git. So now with native GitOps for workflow management, you can actually build workflows, export them as YAML or JSON, and manage their entire lifecycle directly through Git. And Cortex will natively consume changes in your version control system and update your workflows to reflect that. And we'll actually show you those updates directly inside of the UI as well. And then finally, we've rolled out a new UI that gives engineers a seamless wizard-like experience. So your workflow may be quite complicated. As a platform engineering team, you may have built a workflow that, depending on the user's input, takes them down different user journeys, executes different JavaScript blocks, maybe registers different things in CI. But your developers, your end users should not know that complexity. And so the new experience we've rolled out streamlines an entire experience and gives you a very simple wizard-like experience where I just go through the steps step by step as an end user. And so I can still expand that experience and see the end-to-end flow, but I can hide that complexity from our users if I want to. So if you've used an installer experience in the past on installing something on your laptop, kind of walks you through those wizard-like steps. That's exactly what this experience looks like. So this is kind of the first of its kind self-service experience and full self-service platform that exists in the market today. So very, very excited for some of these launches, which I will show you what that looks like right now. So sharing my screen again. You'll notice in our workflows product, there's quite a different set of experiences you can build. Like I mentioned, it's not just around spinning up new services. It can be for deploying services, provisioning infrastructure, filing security requests, manual attestation processes, creating new services, onboarding engineers, incident response. All these kinds of things can be built inside of the workflow self-service product in Cortex, which is very unique to Cortex as an IDP. But let me jump into one of these and look at the service creation flow. You can see here we're doing quite a few things, right? We are fetching information from our AWS account in terms of getting AWS accounts that are available. We're asking the user for certain inputs. We're running native code scaffolding using cookie cutter. We're running multiple of these at the same time. We're creating a bucket for the service. We're creating a PagerDuty service. We're filing a security review request. But what might this look like with the new capabilities that we've built today? So you can see here, there's almost 200 blocks that are out of the box in Cortex today. So I don't have to do things manually. Let's say at the very end of this workflow, I want to run a Jenkins build. We've created the repository, we've bootstrapped the code with the Helm chart, we've created a new Spring Boot service, and we've handed this to the end user. But at the end of this, we want to trigger a build that's going to register this in multiple systems and make sure that everything works. Cool. Rather than having to hand roll this logic myself, I click a button and I immediately get the ability to build, to run a Jenkins build simply by giving a URL, the name of the job, and a token, which you can very easily get those tokens from your workflow as well. And so these can be streamlined through secrets naturally within the workflow system. What else is really interesting here is the ability to now run JavaScript steps as well. So you can directly inline execute JavaScript. So what's interesting here is that as a workflow executes, it's actually building context. So the inputs that the user has provided, the repository that's been scaffolded, the API responses from other steps, all this stuff is being collected into a context object. And that context is available for me in these JavaScript steps itself. So if I want to execute complex logic based off of all the things that have happened so far in a workflow, really easy to do that. You have access to this actions object where you can see all the information that's been executed in the workflow before. And so you can do things like run for loops, conditional logic, even things like make API calls and that are routed through the Cortex backend in a secure way. So you can build very easily all the logic directly inside of your workflow. So if you're used to today in your scaffolding experiences having to build multiple CI tools and pipelines to execute logic outside of your self-service experience, you no longer have to do that. You can build that logic directly into your workflow in Cortex, really improving the maintainability of your workflow and creating a seamless experience for your end users as well. And this is our demo environment, so I don't know if this is going to work, but let's run this workflow and see what that looks like. We've pre-filled some of the inputs here, but you can see that there's a nice kind of streamlined workflow experience where as an end user, I don't see the complex workflow that I've built. I just kind of go through the steps. And what's really cool about this is because we know who you are in Cortex, we've built a lot of context about you as an individual. We can send you notifications or reminders saying, hey, that workflow you run, you can actually come back now because there's been some updates. It's waiting for some additional input from you as a user. And so it's a very seamless experience end to end. So whether you're a platform engineer trying to build great developer self-serve experiences in a maintainable way, stitching together your platform capabilities, or you're an end user trying to consume those workflows, Cortex has built an incredible self-serve experience that can kind of solve all the self-serve things that you're looking to solve today. And that's not everything. There's been a ton of things we've released over the last 6 months that have been really exciting. And I just want to quickly, I won't talk about all these things, but there's been so much exciting stuff that I want to quickly call out. The design that you're seeing today, it's been a while since you've seen Cortex. We released a brand new design of Cortex from the ground up, really thinking about actionability, intuitiveness, and consistency. We're working on accessibility support as well. We launched dark mode, which I'm really excited about. We've done a ton of things around scorecards, so things like API-driven initiatives, automatic notifications when your scores drop in scorecards, visibility to notifications. These are the things that really matter to drive adoption, right? You don't want to be the ones building out a notification system for your IDP. Let Cortex manage the complexity. So being able to send notifications when things have changed, support for APIs and workflows. We've launched multiple types of metrics and engineering intelligence. We've added tons of new integrations. We've launched our tech partnerships program that we've talked about. We launched our plugin marketplace. Cortex is one of the only IDPs that have a full-fledged plugin system where you can build plugins and extend the platform today. And we've launched a plugin marketplace where there's multiple plugins available, and you can actually build your own plugins and share those in the marketplace today with a new set of templates to build those plugins as well. We've also released things like CQL report support for automatic refreshing. So if you want to build a report of all the vulnerabilities in your ecosystem and refresh that on a constant basis, you can do that now with CQL reports. So tons of exciting things that we've launched. There's so much more. Take a look at our blog as well if you're interested in seeing some of the things that we've recently released. And with that, I'll hand it over to Roshni for the Engineering Excellence Award.
Hi, everyone. My name is Roshni Sandhi. I lead our customer experience team and function here at Cortex. And I get the honor to work with all of our great customers into how they adopt Cortex and create a culture of engineering excellence within their company. And we know that creating that culture of engineering excellence, it's not easy. It takes vision, a lot of grit, and relentless commitment. And that was really the inspiration behind creating the Engineering Excellence Award. We want to celebrate and spotlight the leaders and individual contributors who are pushing boundaries and accelerating innovation within their own organization. And I'm really excited to have the privilege to take a moment and recognize a leader who's taking their organization to the next level of velocity and innovation through constant and continuous improvement. So today, we will be presenting our Engineering Excellence Award to Hari Babu from H&R Block. And, as we were looking through all our nominations, here's what really stood out around some of the words that were used in Hari's nomination by his peer group. Hari consistently takes a proactive approach to problem solving. He's always looking ahead to anticipate the needs around the corner and remove those roadblocks before they get there. His technical expertise and deep understanding of H&R Block's business goals, it really fosters a culture of growth and continuous collaboration. He truly exemplifies the spirit of engineering excellence, and we are so excited to honor and recognize your achievements. Hari, I'd love to turn it over to you so you could share some thoughts on, what that journey of engineering excellence continues to look like for you all.
Absolutely. Hey everyone, thank you so much. Looks amazing. This is our first year of engagement with Cortex, and getting this sort of an award on the first year itself is very special. So thank you so much. And when this was, informed me a couple of weeks back, I was sharing an insight with Anne as well that I can't, take credit for this award because I'm just the face of Cortex in my organization. It is my platform team. I have a group of people, very enthusiastic, very innovation-driven people behind me who is supporting with this journey. So I will, give this award to all of them. And also we have a shared services team who is backing us in our journey to, make sure our organization is building the best tools and support for everyone. So this is for all of them. I will share that with them. In terms of engineering excellence, I would say we are very tech-driven company where we look at always what is new come in the market. We try to keep up the pace with that, but that comes with a set of drawbacks as well. So because you keep up with all the new tools and trends, but is that needed for your organization's growth? So you need to also understand, which you also mentioned, Roshni, that the business goals, right? So we want to make sure that whatever we are building, we're not just looking at the tools and trends. We want to build what is essential for the team. And there are two key pillars which we always look at, which is quality and resilience. So if we can build these two things using the engineering excellence, keeping in mind that we have a business goals to be aligned as well, then we are successful. So that is what we are trying to achieve in this organization. And our CEO always talk about people because we have three pillars: quality, resilience, and people come first for us. So for us, if you are building an engineering excellence, it should not be a burden for our people, right? So we want to make sure that whatever we are building, it is not burden for engineers. It should be, empowering them by providing the flexibility, transparency, and the actionable insight, which I think, it was covered with the ownership talk also here. So for me, we want to build that in the organization, and that is what we are trying to achieve here as well. And I have already mentioned our starting of the journey with, last year at this around the same time because it started at May, and I was looking, okay, it's pretty much 1 year journey for us, and within that 1 year, what we achieved within our organization, I'll give you a key, success story which we had with H&R Block. we are pretty much a seasonal business. Like we are H&R Block, who is filing taxes in US people for US people. So what we usually do is we have a tax filing period between January to April. So we need to make sure all our tools and technologies are ready by that time. So we have a 2 days, 8 hour long, very tedious meeting, set by our CIO and driven by all the managers, architects, principal engineers. Everybody come up with a big presentation, talk about whether their application is ready or not. And the great news is with the integration of Cortex, we were able to build a season readiness scorecard, which literally gave the same insight. So we were a little bit late to build that one because we were integrating with Cortex after that. But this year we wanted to replace that 2 day hectic meeting with just a scorecard. So that shows the power of this tool and our engagement, as well as that is what engineering excellence means to us, because now you have clear ownership who need to take actions, and it is visible to everyone in the organization. It is not the leadership, it is also the each individual engineer from even the associate level. So that is what it means to us. And this year, we have a lot of non-functional requirements, which was pretty much driven manually through a set of project managers. We are trying to, replace that with another core feature in Cortex called Cortex Initiatives. So we can again build that transparency with the people. And within this 1 year, we were only able to explore the scorecards, building the catalogs, and also the initiatives. But we are so excited to try the scaffolding solutions and the workflow so that our organization can take it to the next level and produce the best engineering excellence, and provide the right insight to the people also. So thank you so much for this award, and I'm so excited to see all the roadmaps here, and I'm pretty sure we'll have a very wonderful journey together. Last not but the least, I want to call out 4 of our support engineers as well: Stephanie, Randy, Jan Paul, and Chase. They have been a tremendous support, bearing me with all the questions I have been asking and the huge product backlog I have to work with them. So their patience, I have to call out those people, and you have been the backbone support for us. So thank you so much. It means a lot for me and my team here. Thanks, everyone.
Hari,
Thank you, Hari.
oh, sorry, Hari, we
No, no, go.
very much so appreciate that. I think on 2 separate levels. One, what really stood out to me in the entire journey we've had together is really around the theme of empowerment, actionability, and visibility. So thank you so much for continuing to weave that through into your own journey over at H&R Block and as you think about engineering excellence. But then also on behalf of the support team and just thank you so much for being such a great partner to work with and always just being even collaborative with us, right? So the themes and the spirit behind which you're building engineering excellence at H&R Block, we really feel it as your partner here at Cortex. So thank you. And I'm super excited to see how our teams continue to work together going into this year.
I have to show my award. I don't know whether you
Yes,
can see
please.
with my background. I got my award also in my hand. So I promised Anne that I'll show that in the meeting also. So I got it here.
Perfect. I love
Love
that.
it.
I love that. So thank you again so much. Very, very excited to continue this journey on engineering excellence with you and your team. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Anish, who has a couple more
I just want
exciting.
to quickly say it's been a huge honor working with Hari and the team, and I just want to say like it's been, your call out about people being a core pillar, I think is so important because when we think about engineering excellence, we think about just the systems or just the people, and I think what's so important to call out is both those things coming together. You can't disassociate the people from the systems and the systems from the people, and it's not just about accountability, but it's about the culture, it's about visibility, it's about that sense of ownership. And like Jonathan mentioned, do you have that steering wheel and can you actually move things forward? And so I really love how you called out people as such a core pillar there. And yeah, it's been an honor working with you and the team, and excited for everything to come. Anish, over to you.
Amazing. So if you're like me, you're wondering, okay, all of this looks good. It demos well. The screenshots are really pretty. But how do I know if this actually works well in my environment? Can you really, for example, solve ownership across all my thousands of repos? My data is a mess. Well, the answer is yes. You can absolutely try out everything that we've announced today. You just have to visit cortex.io/beta. It doesn't matter if you're a current customer who just wants access to these features or someone who's just interested in trying out a specific use case. We will give you access immediately to everything that you saw today. As the market leader and as the most mature enterprise IDP in the market, we're constantly thinking about how we can push the boundaries of what IDPs can do. And today, all of the features we've announced, they've literally never been done in an IDP before. And so we're really proud of everything we've built today, and we've seen the impact it's already had with some of the customers who've been trying it out. And so would love your feedback. You can just, if you go to cortex.io/beta, we will give you access immediately. So that'll be really exciting to see. And the reality is, right, no one wants to spend months onboarding. No one wants to spend months maintaining and trying to solve things like ownership. So we're also excited to announce another industry first, which is POV to IDP in 7 days. Yes, 7 days. You might see that and you're laughing at me, Anish. How can you possibly import all my services, connect all my data, figure out ownership using AI, and then actually solve real business problems using scorecards, initiatives, and workflows in 7 days? Well, I would love to take you up on that challenge. This is the power of Cortex. It's what we've been focused on so diligently over the past 6 years. And once you have that solid foundation of a catalog, once you have ownership solved, there's so much powerful capabilities that you can do. And it doesn't matter whether you're an executive who's trying to align your entire organization or an SRE who really is trying to get production readiness in forest. I think there's in 7 days, I think we can do a lot of and make a really powerful impact. So you can visit cortex.io/fast track. The link is right there at the bottom. And yeah, I would love to take you up on that challenge and have a fully functioning IDP in 7 days. Awesome. And so when we started Cortex 6 years ago, the interesting thing is there wasn't even a concept of an IDP. I mean, the word literally didn't exist. And so to see how the market has evolved, to see such a vibrant community emerge from it, honestly, it's one of the most exciting and it's just such a powerful community to be a part of. Like everyone is trying to solve these challenges around engineering excellence. And we hosted IDP-Con, which is a conference that we put together for the first time last year. And we had over 300 people attend across the world right here in New York. And we held several workshops that were hands-on. We had multiple panels and industry leaders give talks on a wide variety of topics that were around IDPs. And honestly, the connections that were made, just helped so many people understand how to solve these different challenges with engineering excellence, because it doesn't matter, even companies in different industries, we're all trying to solve similar challenges. And I think IDP-Con was a fantastic way to connect with other people and just learn, how do I make a bigger impact in my role today? And so excited to say that we're going to be doing it even bigger this year. We're going to be hosting IDP-Con again in New York on October 9th. You can scan this QR code just as a huge thank you to everyone who joined our Summer Scoop today. You can use the code SCOOP for 100% off. So hope to see you and your entire team there. We're going to, again, do it bigger this year. And honestly, we're going to be announcing some of the most exciting developments to IDP that have ever been shared. And I'll give you a hint. A lot of it revolves around AI. And so if you're excited to see how IDPs and AI work together, I promise you're never going to look at IDPs in a similar way again. We'd love to see you there. You can go to idpcon.com as well. And yeah, thank you so much for, I want to see every single one of you there.
All right, let's talk Summer Scoop Launch Challenge. You may have seen me posting about this relentlessly. You've probably seen a lot of this content on LinkedIn, but it's not over yet. There's still an opportunity if you want these awesome hats that we've all been wearing, or the sick Summer Scoop neon t-shirts. It's fairly simple. A couple quick things. You can simply just share your hot take. What does engineering excellence mean to you? Include these 2 hashtags that we have here, engineering excellence and Cortex Launch Party, and you will get one of these amazing hats. You've already done the second one just by being here at the webinar, but just post on LinkedIn again with what does engineering excellence mean to you with the right hashtags, and you will get the t-shirt as well. And finally, if you are an existing Cortex customer and you share what does engineering excellence mean to you and how did Cortex help you with that, you will get a delivery of really, really awesome ice cream. So it's not over yet. Today's the last day. So take a look and hope to see your post on LinkedIn. And with that, we are wrapped. Thank you so much for attending the Summer Scoop 2025 launch party. Lots of exciting, groundbreaking innovations in IDPs. Everything from automated machine learning, AI-driven ownership detection to best-in-class workflows and JavaScript support and the new engineering homepage and everything in between. We hope there was something for you here today. Very excited, like Anish mentioned. Take a look at the beta if you're excited in trying these out. Is there anything else we want to add from the Cortex team? Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for attending. Hope to see your post on LinkedIn. This is where engineering excellence starts, whether it's security, reliability, velocity, or anything in between. We wish you all the best on your engineering excellence journeys and hope to work with you on them at some point. Thank you so much.